Hello and welcome to Sports Scene. I'm Carlo Jimenez, joined today by Nicole, Shearin, Will Camardella, Chris Nigro, Sam Reno, and Eli Kleinmann. We've got a packed show for you today, and we're going to start off with our interview this morning with USC football rising senior running back Austin Jones.
Hello everyone, today we are joined by Austin Jones. Austin, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
So first off, how are you? How are you feeling?
Good little day. Woke up this morning, can't complain.
Nice. And how does it feel being at USC? How has your experience been so far?
Oh, it's been great. The people here, obviously the LA vibe is great. Football is great, school, everything. So it's been a lot of fun being out here.
Got a chance to play in the spring game last Saturday, obviously, and you've been on the other end of it playing at the Coliseum when you were at Stanford, but wearing the Cardinal in gold now, what was that experience like?
It was great. The atmosphere was great. Going out there and getting it with the guys was just a lot of fun. And, a lot of work we put in the spring ball and practice everything, so that was great. And then finally be on the side where people can cheer me on and, tell me how good I am this time instead of just going at me. So it was a lot of fun.
How's it going to feel when you play Stanford, your old school?
It was like I've already said one time, playing your best friends that you've had for a long time, and now you're on the opposite side playing against them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. High atmosphere, they're going to be very competitive. They're going to be coming at me a lot, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Obviously, this team, you have a new head coach with Lincoln Riley, essentially a new squad. What is the camaraderie like of building this team chemistry?
I think it's great. I think it's, it's one of those things where Lincoln was like, it's going to be one of the most unique rosters in college football history. And it was one of those things where either we're going to, have this weird divide between us, or we're just going to just automatically trust each other and come together. And I think that's what we did throughout the spring.
Just a spring game, but you finally scored your first touchdown as a Trojan to open up the second half there. What was that finally like?
It was great. It was a great feeling, reaching the end zone in the Coliseum and then seeing the crowd go crazy and everything. It was one of those surreal moments, most definitely.
Also want to ask, we talked about Lincoln Riley and the camaraderie, but also a lot of buzz around here about what this offense is going to look like. How do you feel you've adjusted to it, and what kind of damage you think it's going to do when the season starts?
This offense is going to be very explosive. We're going to do a lot of damage, whether it's out of the backfield, throwing deep passes, or breaking big runs. This offense is very efficient, and then picking up on the offense, just kind of a lot of language that you have to pick up on, but once you pick up on it and start rolling it.
You got an opportunity in the spring game to take reps with both Caleb and Miller at quarterback. What's sort of different about playing with those two, and what do you like about each of them?
To start with Caleb is the baller. He's going to put it on the money every single time. Same with Miller as well. But, Caleb's got that feel of the game where he's just a playmaker. He's going to go out there and make plays. Miller, same way, gunslinger. You saw that big touchdown that he threw at the beginning of the half. So, playing with those guys has just been great. You kind of get a different feel for them and how they play, but it's, each of them, they got their own type of game, and it's really works really well for the both of them.
Well, good luck this offseason getting faster. Really appreciate you joining us today.
No doubt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, before we dog on Will for that dig, Austin did say earlier in the interview that one of his goals this offseason was to get faster, right?
That's right.
Just being a kind soul to Austin Jones. We're so excited to see Austin getting going, guys, but we got to see glimpses at the spring game. What were your guys' takeaways from the event Saturday at the Coliseum?
You know what? I'd say they looked pretty good. You take a look at the offense. Everyone's so excited to see what Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams are going to do. I thought their new quarterback looked very, very comfortable. Nothing show-stopping, nothing crazy down the field, but he did not throw an incomplete pass in the first half. The ball did not hit the ground, and he had the 2 touchdowns on the fades. That's definitely a good step up. He's obviously built a lot of chemistry at Oklahoma with Mario Williams at wide receiver. Overall, they had a good balance between the run and the pass game, and it looked like an offense that's making a lot of strides.
I would totally agree. I think every room in that offense looked strong. We touched on the running backs. Austin Jones had a great game. Travis Dye, Darwin Barlow. The wide receiver room looked electric. We cannot deny the Caleb Williams, Mario Williams connection is alive and well in LA from Oklahoma, that's for sure. But one guy I want to touch on is Miller Moss. Okay, he started out shaky. He was working with second teams, but he had a 48-yard pass to Kyle Ford in second. He's making noise out there, and he has some doubters right now, but I think he's going to wreak havoc this season.
I know we all are focused on the offense. It's what's fun. But, guys, defense wins championships, and I think Romello White and Brandon Peely had fantastic games for the Trojans. You talk about those two next to Shane Lee. That is a defense that looks like they can take a huge step forward next year. they're going to be electric under Alex Grinch.
No, Carlo hit the nail on the head. Yes, I brought up the offense first, but the defense was also electric. You had Romello Height and Nick Figueroa each had a sack, in quotes, I do the quotes because not actually, they're not going to kill their quarterbacks out there.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little tap. But they each had a sack, and then Lincoln Riley touched on it a few weeks ago that he wanted to use this spring game to really work on those unnecessary penalties. The defense only had 2 the entire game. I think that's a pretty good start, if you ask me. So this defense is looking good.
I definitely agree with that. Couple nice sacks, good against the run, especially in the red zone. As far as the secondary goes, and that's where I really have my eyes on because they were such a disaster last year. But look, again, no incomplete passes in the first half from the starting quarterback. But on the other hand, they didn't really get beat deep very often, at least the A team didn't. And they kept everything in front of them. It was a bend and don't break defense. And if you think about it, that's basically what Lincoln Riley's done when he was at Oklahoma, right? You say defense wins championships. That has not necessarily been his philosophy. Defense keeps you in the game enough while your offense really puts you ahead in a lot of these games. And that's basically what we saw. So it's an all right start for them.
Trojans have a lot of room for improvement on the defensive end, and I think we're going to see the most improvement on that end.
Yes.
I think, guys, is it getting hot in here? Because
It's a little, whew.
things are heating up over there at the couch. Let's go check it out. Chris, Eli, and Sam, what's going on?
That's right, Carlo. We're over here at the couch, and we've got 4 spring game takeaways. And Eli and over here, we're going to decide whether those are Cardinal and gold or Reckless and bold. Chris, what we got first?
All right, hot take number 1. Terrell Bynum will be a top 3 wide receiver on this team.
That's absolutely Cardinal and gold. He was one of the starting receivers in the spring game on Saturday. He's a veteran transfer from Washington. He's going to make an impact. We saw him make an impact on Saturday. Just a reliable pass catcher. Going to be a great target for whoever's the starting quarterback, whether it's Caleb Williams most likely or Miller Moss. Sure, he didn't have the production last year because he was playing in an incompetent Washington offense, as so many offenses in the Pac-12 are. But he will make an impact this year for USC.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's Cardinal and gold. Had 2 catches for 34 yards in that spring game and that 29-yard reception. I think he's going to be consistent. This is a deep wide receiver group, but I think he showed getting those first-team reps on Saturday that he can compete and that he can hang with the best of this group.
All right, a consensus for number 1. Let's see if that continues. Shane Lee and Latrell McCutcheon will be all Pac-12.
I think this is Cardinal and gold. If you look even at last year's defense, as horrible as it was at times, they still put 2 defenders on the all Pac-12 team. And Chris Steele made honorable mention. With that production, Latrell McCutcheon can at least make a second team. All these Alex Grinch defenses at OU have been about bending and not breaking. As Will said earlier, it's about red zone stops, it's about red zone interceptions, and that's what Latrell McCutcheon and Shane Lee are going to bring to this defense enough to get on that all Pac-12 team.
I'm going to split the middle. I'm going to call it reckless and gold. I think Shane Lee is going to have to fill a lot of that production on defense because it simply didn't exist last year, and he's going to make a ton of tackles and will likely get him on all Pac-12 team, but not Latrell McCutcheon. You say Lincoln Riley's defenses at Oklahoma were bend and not break. They broke most of the time. They gave up a lot of points, and a lot of it was through the air. Latrell McCutcheon was a part of that. It was not that successful last year at Oklahoma. I think he will have struggles. He had struggles in the spring game. He even got ejected. I'd say watch out for Latrell McCutcheon. That one is a little bit too hot for me.
Getting a little more spicy, I like it. Hot take number 3. Running back Travis Dye will be a finalist for the Doak Walker Award.
That's absolutely reckless and bold because he won't even be the best running back on this Trojan team. It's going to be Austin Jones. We said earlier he's getting faster, right? So he's going to make an impact on this team. He was the best running back in the conference in 2020, and the only thing in 2021 at Stanford that worked was the running backs, but that offense for the most part was reckless and bold. It was a disaster up in Palo Alto. He's going to have a great year with Lincoln Riley, who creates a lot of holes for his running backs. Watch out for Austin Jones this year. He's the running back to watch out for.
Yeah, I think the statement is absolutely reckless and bold, but I think the sentiment is Cardinal and gold. I think you're going to see some increased production from this running back group, but it's going to be exactly that, a group. You saw on Saturday between Barlow and Jones and Dye that they're going to split the carries, they're going to split the workload, and they'll play better, but there's not going to be any one individual that's going to sort of play above the rest and punch above their weight to even make an all Pac-12 team, let alone a Doak Walker Award conversation.
All right, 4th and final hot take I got for you. Caleb and Mario Williams will be Heisman and Blinkendoff finalists.
Oh, book it. That's Cardinal and gold. Let's try some names on for size here with some quarterback wide receiver duos under Lincoln Riley. Baker Mayfield and D.D. Westbrook. Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown. Jalen Hurts and C.D. Lamb. It's what Lincoln Riley does, is produce talented offensive players, specifically through the air. Who gets the lion's share of the targets in the offense? It's the wide receivers that the quarterback's comfortable with and the most talented wide receivers. Mario Williams just happens to be both in this offense. He's played a year with Caleb Williams under Lincoln Riley at OU before coming over here. He's familiar with Caleb, and he's the most talented receiver in this group. I think it sets up well in a conference that's going to produce some inflated numbers, and with the program with the pedigree of USC, I think they can get some momentum towards those award conversations.
That's absolutely reckless and bold because there's a major difference between Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley and USC with Lincoln Riley next season. That was an established program with a great overall offense and a top 10 team. USC is not going to be that this season. They will be good and better, but to expect them to be in the top 10 this season is also reckless and bold. Caleb Williams and Mario Williams will be good. They may make all Pac-12 teams, but to expect them to be in that elite group at the top of the country, competing with teams with great receivers and quarterbacks like Ohio State and Alabama, is just too much to ask in year one for Lincoln Riley.
But moving from the Coliseum to the sand, the Pac-12 Beach Volleyball Tournament begins today down in Tucson. And ahead of the action, our Chris Nigro caught up with graduate Sammy Slater on the team's dominant 28-1 season, their mindset going into the postseason, and a whole lot more. Take a look.
You're a graduate student, and on Friday you had senior day. So what were some of your thoughts? How were you feeling while you were playing your last game at USC?
Yeah, it was honestly crazy because usually I'm not a very emotional person and I don't get super nostalgic. But when I was out there, going to play my last couple points, I kind of felt myself feeling all those emotions just because it's been such a long ride and such a positive experience and helped me kind of shape me as a person throughout college. So it was a really special moment, especially being with the other 10 graduating people. It was just such a special moment for all of us to have our last time there at Merle Norman.
You guys are defending national champions, and there's obviously a lot of pressure that comes with that and being the number one team in the country. How have you guys sort of dealt with that pressure all season long?
Yeah, I think it's been nice. We have so much depth and so much just maturity on our team with a lot of older girls, but even the younger ones that are playing are just as mature as we are. So I think just always going into every match knowing that because we're number one and that we won last year, that makes people want to beat us just even more badly. So just going out there and playing our best volleyball every time and always being confident and showing up with our game faces on.
So you guys have a significant win streak sort of going here. How do you guys feel going into the Pac-12 tournament and the postseason in general?
Yeah, I think we're all just so excited. We always know postseason's the most exciting time when everything really starts to come together and it's your last chance to get out there and play. So we're all just looking forward. I mean, a win streak's great, but we don't even look at that as something to keep. It's more just going into each match and paying attention to every team, not just looking forward to Gulf Shores or the finals of Pac-12, but taking each team as it comes and just going out there and playing the volleyball we know how to.
So last year you guys did end up losing to UCLA in the finals of the Pac-12 tournament. Is that sort of on you guys' mind at all?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because once we lost to UCLA last year at Pac-12s, I felt we didn't have our best match. I didn't play my best personally. And I just remember looking around and being you guys, this doesn't matter. We have to look forward to Gulf Shores. So I think going into this Pac-12s, yes, they're the reigning champions, but I think every time we play them, it's a very emotional and everyone's fighting hard to win. So we'll just go into it it's every other game, but definitely hope we can bring back that trophy back to SC.
You've primarily played with sophomore Megan Kraft, and you guys have been dominant all season long, and you haven't dropped a match. What would you say is sort of the biggest reason for your success so far?
I would say it's my partner Meg. She's the most amazing player. She's only a sophomore, but she plays she's been playing for 30 years. It's ridiculous. There's been matches where I'm just not having my best game and she's single-handedly helped us win. So having her as a partner is just why we're able to keep winning, because she's such a steady person. I think that we play well together and feed off each other's energy well. So hopefully we can keep it going. That's what I'm looking forward to in this postseason.
Welcome back to the couch. USC and UCLA are the top two teams in the Pac-12. They've played 3 times already. USC has won the last 2. They're likely going to play this weekend in the Pac-12 tournament. UCLA, the reigning Pac-12 champion, and USC is the reigning national champion. Who do you think is going to get the top at the end of the day, both this week and in the NCAA tournament, where they likely might play in the final?
I mean, I think you got to have USC. As you said, defending national champion, number 1 team in the country. They got the best player in college beach volleyball in Tina Gradina at 1. Her and Haley Harwood have lost 1 match all year. Granted, to UCLA. At 2, Sammy Slater, Megan Kraft haven't lost all year. And then at 3, Julia Scholes, Delaney Maple. Again, only lost 1 match. Granted, to UCLA. But if you're asking which team has the best chance to win 3 out of 5 matches, I think I'll put all my money on USC.
I mean, I hate to break it to you, but you're making my case for me. If Tina Gradina, the best college beach volleyball player, if her and Harvard have lost once to UCLA, and Schools and Maple have lost once to UCLA, and the North Sisters have lost, I think, 5 times this year, and sure, 5 losses is not that many, but for a program with the standards of USC, that's a lot, and it's proven unreliable in some big games, including that loss to UCLA early in the season. Let's look at that 5 spot. It's been anything but consistent. The last 6 matches, they've used 3 different pairings, and if you extended the weekend before, it's 4. It's been a mix of Schaefer and Eberton and Villalpando. Who can you find to get production out of that spot? And it's just been a rotating cast. They haven't been consistent getting that 5th point for this USC team, and that's a lot of pressure to put on this top 3 that's starting to show some cracks in the last couple of weeks. And to string together so many wins to get a Pac-12 title, to get a national title, you need everybody involved. And if the North Sisters in that number 5 spot can't get points for this team, I don't think those top 3 can hold up over those games.
USC and UCLA will be the focus heading to the Pac-12 tournament and the NCAA tournament because they have won each of the last 5 national championships. The Pac-12 tournament takes place this week from Wednesday to Friday.
The first round of the 2022 NFL Draft is tomorrow. Among dozens of college football's top prospects hoping to hear their names called will be USC wide receiver Drake London, one of the top pass catchers in this year's class. Defensive end Drake Jackson is a candidate to be drafted this weekend as well. Nicole, where do you see these former Trojans being taken?
So I'm going to start with Drake London. He takes the numbers 10 spot with the Jets. Now the Jets like their Trojans. They've had 4 Trojans in the first round since 2009. Now you might be asking, well, why is he the 10th spot? The reason why, guys, is because Garrett Wilson is taking that number 8 spot with the Falcons. The one thing that differentiates the two, Garrett Wilson has the speed that I don't think Drake London has. London has the length. He has the hops. I mean, he was a basketball player. He has that ability to make those catches that seem impossible to everyone else. But the speed that Garrett Wilson has bumps him up to that number 8 spot that Drake London goes down to 10. But he will be a top 10 pick. Don't get me wrong. He will be top 10, but he's landing with the Jets.
So I agree and disagree with you at the same time. I agree with you he's going 10 to the Jets, but I disagree he's the first receiver off the board. He is the best receiver in this class because he is the most unique receiver in this class. Yeah, we can talk about how fast guys are and how fast they run their 40s and how fast they play on the field. Drake London's ability to make contested catches is going to be such a attractive feature for NFL general managers. He had more contested catches in his 8 games last year than any other receiver had in a full season. If guys are confident he's going to be healthy, he's going to be the first receiver off the board because of that.
Guys, I know we love talking about offense, but you play 2 sides of the ball in football. I think the other Drake Jackson, is going to be the surprise of the draft. This is a guy coming into this last season was projected higher than Drake London. He comes out in a Todd Orlando defense that might be one of the worst in program history. USC had given up an opponent's season high in points all the way up to BYU. I mean, everybody had anything on the offensive end against that USC defense. I think Jackson's poor season was a product of the poor talent and play calling around him. I think he's going to be a steal.
Carlo hit the nail on the head. Yes, I brought up the offense first, but you're right. Defense is key. And Drake Jackson, his draft stock fell, yes, but he played on an incredibly weak defense last season. He's going to be the ninja of the draft. That's what I'm going to call him. Because he's going to have that sneaky approach where people aren't really talking about him much right now. But I'm telling you right now, that team that has him on his defense, he's going to wreak some havoc.
Nobody here is going to deny that he didn't get the coaching last year. I think everybody understands that. But let's not blame it all on Todd Orlando. He could have been a top 10 pick with a good season, and now he's being talked about as a day 2 guy, maybe late round 2, early round 3. And that's not, again, all on the coaches. He came in underweight last year, wasn't big enough to play to his size, came in at about 250 pounds. He's trying to put it on now, but that's on him. He had 5 sacks his freshman year, 5.5 his final year in college. That's just not a good enough improvement for you to be considered a legitimate pass rusher in this draft. He has the potential, yes, but he's got a lot of work to do.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. NFL draft coming up. Let's go to Eli at the Monitor, who's got a breakdown of some lacrosse.
When USC women's lacrosse leading goal scorer Kelsey Huff went down with an injury in the middle of the season, things looked bleak for the Trojans. Last Saturday, USC claimed a share of the Pac-12 regular season championship after defeating Arizona State in Tempe. How did the Trojans climb to the top of the conference without one of the nation's top scorers? Carlo, fly on in here. We're going to break it down for you right here.
All right, let's break it down. We got the Arizona State film. We're going to start here at X. For those of you who don't know, that's behind the goal in lacrosse. And look at Madison Waters right here, but really focus on Claudia Shevitz. Why? Shevitz is going to bring this defender with her this way. That's going to open up this wide open lane, and Isabel Vitale will find her for the goal. You can go ahead and run that film. Madison Waters has been fantastic as of late, and this is why, as she goes right to the lane and scores going to the opposite side.
Well, Madison Waters will again reap the benefits of this great offense. It again starts in X with Ella Heaney. She finds Isabel Vitale, who's been absolutely fantastic as a redshirt freshman. But look at all this space because Isabel Vitale is taking up so much attention. So is Ella Heaney. Of these defenders, well, again, Madison Waters is going to come in, take that space, and use it to score a goal. Let's take a look.
But nobody home. 10 seconds on the shot clock for the women of Troy. Nice pass from Vitale to Waters.
I mean, Madison Waters, Eli, has been ridiculous as of late. Didn't score in her first 4 games. She's got 11 in her last 4. But you know who's been more ridiculous is right here. Isabel Vitale. 60 points this season. That is top 10 all time in a single season. Oh, by the way, it's her first season for the USC Trojans. Let's look at how much space she has around her. That's a mistake. And watch what she does with all that room.
Is out there on offense as well. Here's Shelby Tilton on the doorstep to Vitale and
behind the back, ridiculous Isabel Vitale.
So talented. USC will finish its regular season this Saturday against UC Davis and then take a part in the Pac-12 tournament. Let's send it back to you, Nicole, at the desk.
And that's going to do it for the final sports scene show of the year. But before we say our goodbyes, we would like to thank our control room crew, Director Olivia Mossler, Assistant Directors Loki Wu and Sydni Zfira, Camera Operator Monserrat Rodriguez, Teleprompter Lindsey Huguet, Floor Manager Fancy Shirt Nicholas Martinez, Live Stream Manager Ben Papp, Sports Director Nathan Ackerman? Yeah, it's Nathan Ackerman. Sports Coach Rob Parker, Tech Supervisors Tom Norris and Bobby Prom, and most of all, Faculty Director Stacy Shoulder. So for the final time, fight on, and excuse me while I book 6 tickets to Cabo.